BiN5, so we are looking at distribution of organisms still in life on Earth, but in particular now we're kind of bringing it all together for the final bit, which is on something called indicator species. Let's start with the definition for this. So an indicator species is a species that by its presence or absence tells you something about the environment. So the or is important. So it might be something that you see, and because you see it, you know what the conditions must be for it to be there. Or it might be something that you expect to see there and you don't, and that tells you something about the environment. So these are really useful if you're looking for changes, and most often what we're looking at is pollution. So you need to know a couple of good examples, and the best one is probably your lichens. Lichens and air pollution. And then we've also got water invertebrates, so things that little bugs and things we normally find inside water, and water pollution. Let's start with the lichens. So what lichens are these things that you see growing on, well, plant surfaces as well, often on bark of trees and things, and rock surfaces. And they're actually a fungus, which is kind of providing the kind of skeleton, and then an algae that grows with it and does photosynthesis and feeds it. So you get lots of different types of lichens, and they're really good indicators of sulfur dioxide pollution because only certain ones can deal with high levels of sulfur dioxide. So as the pollution gets higher, you start off with things that kind of are nice, kind of bushy lichens. They look nice, they're all green and fluffy. And then they kind of go leafy, looking not quite so good, and then eventually end up as something called crusty. So it does sound exactly like it actually is. The higher the pollution is, the kind of nastier they begin to sound. So if you see lichens like this, you're saying that's a high pollution. And if you certainly see none of these guys, you would go, definitely it's not good air. So this is a good way of measuring air pollution. The freshwater invertebrates are obviously looking at water pollution. So what you're looking at here are small insects and invertebrates that you find in fresh water. And the reason for this is because they are really particular in what they can actually survive. So this is right back to the tolerance curves things that we were saying. So if we know exactly where they can live, then you can look at them and say, okay, well, if I find them, then I know what the water must be like. Okay, and this is the same kind of deal. Starting with low pollution, you have things that sound nice. You've got a stonefly nymph and and mayfly nymph. They all sound nice little animals, okay? And then we get to some cranefly larvae, flatworms. They don't necessarily sound as nice, but by the time you get up to kind of big pollution levels, they sound quite gross. You've got leeches, you've got bloodworms, you've got rat-tailed maggots. I mean, nothing that sounds nice at all. Okay, so you could reasonably be given a problem-solving question about these kind of things from sampling, and you need to be able to give its definition. Okay, so by its presence or absence tells you about the environment. And that's us.